There's 4 steps I go through every single year to really jumpstart my planning, my personal planning for the year. The second step is the audit. Now, the audit comes right after reflection, and this is where it's critical, because unless we audit how we're doing in the important buckets of our lives, I'm going to walk you through what the important buckets in my life are, and it's called the 6 F's that I've been using for probably 5 or 6 years. But until we recognize how we're doing in all the important buckets, it's really hard to set intention for where we want to grow, for the skill sets we want to grow in, for the things we need to do and change, and for the goals. And oftentimes, unless we audit how we're doing in those important buckets, we're going to be one-dimensional going into the new year. You might be single-dimensional just on the finance side, and you go all in on hitting your revenue goal, but you leave some of these important parts out, and you become amazingly unhealthy. Or you ruin relationships with family or friends, or your faith suffers. And so in this little exercise I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to help you have a well-balanced life that gives you joy, that gives you momentum, and that really helps you have intention going into the new year. Okay, so grab a piece of paper, guys. I'm going to go through this, but before I do, I'm doing a full-blown, every single year, I call it my epic annual planning call. And I'm going to be going through all 4 steps in this in detail. You're going to get my entire personal planning template that I use, and I update every single year. Go to carrot.com/2024. That's carrot.com/2024. Join me live, or if you can't, watch the replay of it. But the 6 F's are this, okay? Faith, family, friends, fitness, finances, and fun. Now, what some people do is they lump these 2 together. They lump family and friends together into a relationships bucket. And I used to do that too, but why I feel it's way, way important to separate the 2 is there's been a lot of studies done that relationships are one of the best indicators of longevity, one of the best indicators of joy in life. And I think it's very important to have amazing relationships, both with those right around us, family, but also with friends, not lumping them together. So the first thing is faith. Whatever that higher power is that you believe in outside of you, we need to make sure that we're in touch with that spiritually. How do you feel, at a deep level? And for me, I'm going to write this down on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being couldn't be any worse. Man, I'm really struggling here. 5 being couldn't be any better, right? And on the faith side of it, how are you feeling there? Are you advancing? Are you just kind of stagnant? Are you going backwards? On the family side of it, are you showing up, and leaving the crumbs for your family? Has it been a year since you've had a date night with your spouse? Or are you showing up for business but not coming home and showing up for your kids? And I think we've all gone through that. If you're growing in it, put a 4 or 5, you're doing great. If you're stagnant, it might be a 2 or 3. If you're struggling, there might be a 1 or 2. Right? The friends side of it. This was a biggie for me several years back, where it's really natural as entrepreneurs that we nail the finances side of it. We might have some fun in there. We might get some of the fitness stuff taken care of, but then one of the first things we actually leave behind is our friend circle, because we realize something's got to give. And it's not going to be our family. We don't want it to be our health oftentimes, but sometimes it is. And so we stop our hobbies. We stop meeting with our friends consistently, especially if we have young families. And so a few years ago, that was one of my intentions. I was a 2 on friends, and just really put the intention the next year, because of the 6 F's, to put things in my life where my friends are around me oftentimes. And one of the best tips I want to have for you is, if you can pair up 2 or 3 of these together, that's where you get amazing power. So I always call it blank plus fellowship. Okay, how can we make it so it's fitness and fellowship, where you're doing fitness with people that you care about? How do you make it so you have fun in fellowship, doing it with people that you care about? How do you make it so you're growing your faith through fellowship with others who are wanting to do the same thing? And same thing with finances. How do we grow our businesses with other people that we love and that we want to do it together? So blank plus fellowship in here, okay? The fitness side of it, guys, this is also one of the biggies that we leave behind as entrepreneurs all too often. Not just entrepreneurs, as young mothers, as young fathers, we have families, we start to get all these obligations, we might start a business, and the very first thing that we drop is we go, oh, I'll get to the health side of it later, I'll get to the fitness side of it later. But that's the very thing that actually can fuel the rest of these. If we're not healthy, if we don't have energy, the finances are going to be really hard. Having time and energy for our family is going to be really, really hard. Okay, so Be real there. If you're advancing and you're working out and you're moving that body 4 or 5 days a week, it might be a 4 or 5. If you're stagnant and you're working out a couple days a week, it might be a 3. If you're struggling there and it's something pulling back and detracting from your life, it might be a 1 or 2. Finances. This is something that's important for everybody, but even people who are earning a lot of money, I talk with a lot of people who are highly wealthy, a lot of them wouldn't even put a 5 year on finances. Now, you ask the question, why? Well, oftentimes for entrepreneurs, as high achievers, there's always that next goal, right? And this is a dangerous one that I think we should really sit in this and ask ourselves, truly real versus the vision I have for my life and what I truly want the most in my life. Are my finances at a spot where I feel comfortable, I feel strong, I feel like it's supporting the lifestyle I want now and later? And grade it based on that, not based on whether there's more money to be had. There's always more money to be had, okay? And then the last part is fun, guys. How can we show up in our lives and make things just more fun, more enjoyable? You're using your unique abilities more often. You have hobbies. And this, honestly, I'll be vulnerable. That's one of mine going into this new year, that I've got so many of these other ones doing really, really good. But I'm going, man, I kind of lost my hobbies for a period of my life. And that's something I want to bring back in. I want to bring back in 1 or 2 amazing hobbies this next year where it's consistent, but I'm going to do it with people, hobbies plus fellowship. And so guys, take the 6 F's, go join me live or watch the replay, carrot.com/2024. And once you audit how you're doing in the most important buckets in your life, then we can start to make a plan, and then we can start to execute that plan forward. Okay, steps 3 and 4 are critical on how you take these now and move them forward into a plan that you're pumped about, that energizes you, and that helps you have an epic year ahead. All right, guys, join me, carrot.com/2024 to get my whole template and join me live, or just take the 6 F's. Just use this piece of content just for this piece of content and see what it does for your life.